Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A good afternoon to you all. Today we are going to look at environmental issues that are worth reporting, and we are taking the case study of Uganda. Environment is very crucial in creating awareness, advocating for policy change. It can also help us in promoting sustainable practices. This is especially important in a country like Uganda, where various ecological challenges threaten biodiversity, water resources, and livelihoods. And therefore, journalists can be very instrumental in bringing these issues to the forefront. This lecture therefore aims at exploring critical environmental challenges in Uganda by providing examples that can support us in in-depth reporting and effective communication. You can use data like, for example, what is in the map here, that is the impact of the temperature rises on Robusta coffee. So available data can help us to also do reporting and provide evidence of how the environment can be affected and in the return how it can affect us. Another aspect that is worth reporting is climate change. The reason why climate change is very important is because it's a pressing global issue, which has significant implications for Uganda as a country. Uganda has been experiencing extreme weather events such as droughts, floods, and heat waves, which have disrupted biodiversity and affected human livelihood. For example, we can look at the agricultural sector, which is a vital part of Uganda's economy. It is highly vulnerable to climate change. This is because of the rainfall patterns, particularly in regions like Karamoja, which have led to crop failures and food insecurity. For instance, in Karamoja, there is a drought that hit it in 2010, and it caused widespread crop and livestock losses, which triggered a humanitarian crisis that is remembered until today. And then climate change can also lead to community resilience. Communities, especially in rural areas, struggle to adapt to climate change rather. For example, in 2015, floods hit Teso region and they displaced thousands of people and destroyed homes and infrastructure. This was because of the extreme weather patterns, and by the end of the day, they ended up having a lot of poverty and inequality. And these are the issues that journalists can investigate and report about. We can also use available data, like, for example, what we are seeing in the graph here, data showing the projected temperatures that may affect the Karamoja region ranging from 2040 to 2099. We can also look at, for example, take photographs like we see here of the results of drought and floods and how they can affect people, and we communicate such issues to the people so that they can understand how important the environment is. That is worth reporting is deforestation and land degradation. Deforestation and land degradation are pressing environmental problems in Uganda. And these are caused by the demand for charcoal and firewood and also unsustainable agricultural practices and also the population pressure. So these activities lead to biodiversity loss and soil erosion and contribute to climate change. So the long-term impact for this is that it leads to deforestation. Deforestation can result in biodiversity loss, and it can also lead to increased vulnerability to natural disasters. It can raise, if we raise awareness of the urgent need for conservation efforts, it becomes important and it can help people to understand how relevant the environment is and why we should always take care of it. As we see here, some of the photos showing Mabira forest at first and then now, if you go behind, if you are traveling towards Kampala and you go behind the Mabira forest, you will find that behind there they have cut so many trees and the forest is almost bare. So it becomes a problem, but these issues can only be highlighted if journalists focus on them. Another aspect that is worth reporting about is water scarcity and depletion of water catchment areas. Water scarcity is a very big challenge in Uganda, and this is worsened by the depletion of wetlands, forests, and rivers. The depletion has led to water shortages and conflicts over water resources. And this has been caused by the weak enforcement of environmental laws. It has also been inflated by political interference and corruption, which have degraded Uganda's water catchment areas. So reporting on these issues is very important because it helps in highlighting the failures of the environmental governance and how it has led to water crisis. But we can also report about the need for water treatment and distribution infrastructure investment. We can also report about water conservation practices and rainwater harvesting, which should encourage people to towards a sustainable water management. Another aspect that is worth reporting about is wildlife conservation and poaching. Uganda's diversity is increasingly threatened by illegal wildlife trafficking and poaching, particularly in protected areas. So the demand for ivory, the demand for bushmeat and exotic species drive these activities and lead to declining wildlife. This one means that there is a need to strengthen law enforcement to combat poaching, which is critical for protecting Uganda's biodiversity. So as journalists, we can report on anti-poaching efforts and conservation laws that aim to prevent wildlife populations. We can also look at the successful community-based conservation initiatives involving local communities in wildlife protection, such as ecotourism and ant poaching. Issue that is worth reporting about is urban pollution and waste management. Urban centers like Kampala, for example, face increasing environmental challenges due to pollution from vehicles and industries and poor waste management. These issues affect public health and degrade urban ecosystems. Urban planning, sustainable urban planning and development are very important in reducing pollution and improving city living conditions. So reporting on the policies that are needed to manage urban growth sustainably can help to advocate for improved infrastructure and have a cleaner urban environment. The journalist can basically focus on the initiatives to improve waste management systems and promote recycling by highlighting on innovative waste management solutions. This can help to encourage better handling of urban waste in Uganda. Another issue is environmental challenges in the oil and gas sector. The development of Uganda's oil and gas sector pose several environmental risks, including emissions, pollution, and biodiversity loss. So reporting on the emissions, discharges, and pollution risks associated with oil extraction can raise public awareness of this sector's environmental impact. These issues are worth highlighting to advocate for stronger regulations and more sustainable practices. Weak governance and lack of local government capacity to enforce environmental laws can enhance the environmental risks in the oil and gas sector. So as journalists, we should investigate and report on these gaps to push for more robust regulatory framework. That is worth reporting about is environmental governance and corruption. Corruption can undermine environmental governance where companies can exploit legal loopholes and weak enforcement to encroach on wetlands and forests, with the government officials allowing them illegal activities. Investigative journalism can therefore be crucial, especially in exposing corrupt tendencies that lead to illegal deforestation and encroachment on protected areas. So by highlighting on these issues, it can help us to push for greater transparency and stricter enforcement of these laws. We can use available data to talk about how the environmental degradation can affect growth, economic growth, and this can help people to understand. The next aspect here, lastly, another issue that is worth reporting about is climate change and food security. Uganda's agricultural sector is dependent on rain, which makes it vulnerable to climate change, particularly basing on the rainfall patterns that we have currently and the prolonged droughts. So these changes have led to declining crop yields and heightened food insecurity. So reporting on climate-smart agricultural practices such as using drought-resistant crops and improved irrigation systems can help farmers to adapt to the changing climate conditions. So encouraging crop diversification can also increase resilience against climate shocks. So as journalists, we need to focus on successful farming initiatives to demonstrate practical solutions to food insecurity and challenges in this country. In conclusion, environmental journalism addresses Uganda's environmental challenges, including water scarcity, pollution, wildlife conservation. So journalists can drive policy changes and encourage responsible environmental management by raising public awareness and promoting sustainable practices. Reporting on these critical issues is essential for building a sustainable future and ensuring that Uganda's environmental degradation does not continue to undermine its social and economic development. Thank you so much for listening. Let's catch up again next time, inshallah.